Hello, Facebook. Are you frustrated that all the time management tips and productivity hacks never seem to work for you? Or even if it does, you can't seem to sustain the results? What are the gremlins that steal your time sneakily without you even realizing it? And how can you eliminate stress from the constant lack of time? I'm going to talk about all that in this video. Hey Mompreneurs, it's Pink here, the Heartpreneur Mom, helping you juggle business and motherhood easier, happier. And in this Facebook Live show, we do all things tech, so you don't have to figure it all out when you can be using your precious time to play with your children. And if you're watching this live, subscribe with the button on the top right-hand corner, and you'll be notified whenever a new episode is released. Typically, we'll have one every week. So today we are going to talk about time. Wow. It's a big thing for most people, especially if you are a mom, and even more so if you're an entrepreneur as well. So why do I want to talk about time today? I think in the light of recently on Facebook, I've seen many people talking about time management, how to set up structures, rituals, and all that to maximize their time, to keep their focus. What are the tips to be able to keep focus as well? And those are what I find maybe quick fixes, or if you don't get some fundamentals right or some things out of the way, then whatever you learn about time management, productivity, skill sets, or anything like that wouldn't sustain. So type yes, I can relate in the chat box if you do. So what I'm going to talk about today would be to show you 17, yes, 17, it's a long list, 17 time wasters that you probably may have some and that are just robbing you of your time without you even realizing it. So that's what I am going to talk about today. And if you are ready to start, then just type yes, begin, and we'll start. And I'd like to invite you to play a game with me here today. So take a piece of paper. You want to write these down. These 17 time wasters, you may not think you have any of them, but trust me, believe me, you have 100%, I guarantee it, at least one. So take out a piece of paper, write down the number of time wasters that you have out of the 17 that I'm going to talk about. Okay, and let's compare notes. It probably won't be a good thing if you have that many, but well, awareness is better than not knowing it at all. And the moment you are aware, you'll be able to do something about it, right? So you'll be shocked that how many time wasters are actually munching on your time. All right, so let's dive right in. Okay, so if you can see here, we'll start 17 most common time wasters. We'll start with the first one. And remember, all of you are entrepreneurs, right? And there are certain traits in us that make us an entrepreneur, that also bring us the very common struggles that most entrepreneurs and workforce self people would undergo. So this is the first one. Too many new ideas. Hey, say I'm guilty in the comments if you are creative, high energy, and passionate. No, that doesn't make you guilty, but you are probably then guilty that you are always tempted with new things all the time. Yeah, because you're so creative, you get really enthusiastic over many ideas. There's this shiny object syndrome that sort of just calls out to you all the time. So that's what I mean by you have too many new ideas. But these would really rob you of your focus, and if you're just going around running after new ideas you would totally not have time to sit down and do what needs to be done, right? So the next one, thinking that everything must be done. Well, that's another serious thing that most people will have, and maybe some entrepreneurs, right? So in the recent Mompreneur Success Masterclass that I did, one of the participants had this issue. She was just feeling stressed and unfulfilled, even though she was doing so much every single day, because she felt that there was still plenty that was, you're right, not done. So I had to, over a few sessions, just really drive home the message for her that not everything needs to be done. So when she came from that space, she became so much more empowered because she could see the things that she did every day. And she was quite cool with some things not being done, which can be addressed tomorrow, the day after, or sometimes, in fact, she would choose that she'll never want to do that again, right? So accept that you will never, ever have everything done. Really. So even if on fantastic days where you tick off every single thing on your to-do list, there will be days, there will be more things that you will finish 20, 50 things on your to-do list, and there will be new things that come up. That's for sure. So accept that you'll never get everything done. So when you have that perspective, then you are more focused on the tasks and priorities that you have at hand. And you are not thinking about something at the back of your mind. And a small tip here, having a brain dump to just throw all your thoughts and ideas and everything that needs to be done on like an app or a piece of paper helps tremendously. At least it frees up your mind. So the third thing that I have would be thinking that you can improvise well. Again, one of the typical entrepreneurial traits would be that you are highly creative and you can always improvise on ideas, come up with new things, and you're able to adapt on the way. So we are highly flexible and adaptable. But if the more you think you can improvise well, the more you may think that you don't need to have structures. You don't need to write down the things that you want to do because you sort of know that and you should be able to go with the flow. But even if you come up with a list, what if something pops up last minute, which is so common, right? So if you're thinking that, cool, I'm just going to improvise along the way every single day, then that's going to take the toll on your productivity. So not taking time to set systems and structures in place because you think that you're so good at going with the flow, that's going to be one of the things that would hinder you from accomplishing more. Then let's look at number 4, doing everything yourself. How many of you can relate to this? That you are doing everything yourself, first, either to save pennies, or second, to make sure that that quality of work is delivered to your clients. No, give me lots of thumbs up if you can relate to this. So this is something that many entrepreneurs face, especially at the initial start of their business. They find it so hard to let go, outsource or trust someone else just to help them with it. So if you can delegate or outsource, then that's really helping you to stop wasting time on the things that you don't enjoy doing. Right? I'm sure not all of you enjoy every single part of the entrepreneurial work spectrum, from marketing to networking to accounting to keeping your books to client relation. Do you like every single part of this equally? Probably not. So pick the ones that are your genius and delegate and outsource the rest wherever you can. Next point. Number 5, time waster, is expecting perfection. Why do I laugh at this? Because I'm totally guilty of this. Okay, so for all the perfectionists, mompreneurs out there, if you are that slowed down or stuck, like just at a standstill because you want to make everything perfect, or you're just waiting for everything to be perfect, like you've done your part, but you're waiting for the circumstances and all the parts to fall in until you do your thing. That's, again, your biggest time waster because you're procrastinating, right? So just do it. Just get down to it. Just do it and tweak accordingly. It's impossible to wait till things are perfect or get the perfect circumstance. Nothing is perfect, especially when we are starting off, especially when we are a busy mompreneur with many other roles. So not negating the quality of the work that you do, but really things don't need to be perfect as long as your intentions and your objectives are very clear that you want to be serving your clients. Well, if you have that driving you, then most of the time things won't go too wrong. Okay, so just go ahead and do it. Take the plunge. You're an entrepreneur anyway, and maybe take a leaf out of seeing how your children take on new things with such with totally like no inhibitions and such zest, right? Well, another part of an entrepreneur time waster is that because you are so afraid, you are avoiding making mistakes and getting rejections. So what happens? So you are worried that you'll make a mistake, so you're not doing anything very much. Or you are so concerned about rejections that you're not playing a bigger game, right? So because if you keep within your comfort zone, that is in fact the easy way out. You are very sure that your clients will be happy if you deliver something this way, exactly how you're comfortable with. But you are looking for breakthrough results in your business and in your life. If you keep moving around your business, avoiding mistakes and rejections, guess what? You're not going to grow and you're not going to get those big results that you're after. So spending too much time on playing it small and taking the easy way out is another time waster that I think quite a number of you will be able to relate to. Next, this is again something that is so common for an entrepreneur. Feeling stuck. Why? Because things are ambiguous. There are too many changes. There are too many unexpected outcomes. We are learning so much, but nothing seems to be the way that other people are teaching us the process it should be. Things are so fluid and therefore ambiguous, and you have then no idea what to do next. So because you are so overwhelmed by all this ambiguity, you just stay still and just feel, okay, I'm not going to move until I get a little bit more of clarity. How many of you really yearn for that clarity in your business, right? And saying that if you knew exactly with clarity what you had to do, you would go ahead to do it. Yeah. So then what is the way to overcome this then? So whenever you are doing anything, right, start taking some time to intentionally document the process of the things that you do, especially the ones that you do on a repetitive basis. So when you document as many processes as possible, and you take time to study it later, you'll be able to find some patterns and set up some processes and structures for things that you are doing often, repeatedly, and get that thinking out of those items and just go ahead with the flow and be doing and doing. So there's less ambiguity there because you are not guessing. You haven't forgotten how you've not forgotten how it's done before. You have the processes more or less on hand. And what's the number 8 time waster is saying yes to everything. So who's a yes girl here? Finding it difficult to say no to the people around you for all the requests, type I can't say no in the comments. So if you say yes to everything, guess what? You're going to be giving all your time away, right? you may want to for some important people in your life. So for example, your family, your husband, your children, your parents, your clients, you want to give your time to them. But there are plenty of other people who are also asking you for your time. And those are the ones that you need to be able to have the discipline and the resolute to say no. Learn to be selective of who you want to give your time to and what things that you give your time to. And if you need to, ask for help. Don't say yes to everything and do everything on your own. Learn how to ask for help, because otherwise you're going to get hit by the next time waster, which is being sick, tired, or lethargic. You just feel like you're having low energy the entire day. And that's probably because you've been saying yes to so many things in your life that you have not taken care to slow down and take care of the most important person, you. So if you haven't slowed down to take care of yourself, your health, your well-being, your me time, then what's going to happen is that you would go into a downward spiral of being tired and lethargic, yet you know you want to get your work done. You attempt to do it, but you're not being productive because you're just so tired. And this is really a downward spiral. So remember always to sharpen the saw so that you can go a longer way. Next, we come to a couple of those that are, I've covered the first few, which are very typical to entrepreneurial traits. But now what I'm going to talk about are the types that hit us because of our lifestyle and the growth of technology today. And let's look at what they are. So time waster number 10 would be conversations and communication. So you may say, Ping, what's wrong with that? Like, conversations and communication is really good, right? But do you find yourself going into a conversation with a friend that you just saw hop online and you start chatting with her and you realize at the end of the chat that you didn't get to complete what you set off to do when you came to the computer to work, right? So how many of you are guilty of that, right? Long chats. So type that in the comments if you are. I am for sure. I'll be typing a lot of comments if I had to be the one responding to my own time wasters. So consider having designated time for communication hours. So be it even with your children. So your children are not home from school, you can be doing your work first. But when they are home from school, look at the most common window where they always come to have a chat with you, or they're coming you with some requests. Yeah, block that time out. Just do it, because you know you're gonna get asked, or they will come to talk to you anyway, right? So have designated time. And the next thing, I'm so sure we are almost all guilty of, checking of messages and emails. So how many of you have WhatsApp, Facebook private message, Instagram messaging, or even or all your emails? And when I say emails, it would be probably your 3 to 5 Gmail accounts plus your company accounts. So your personal ones, your company ones, every single thing. Snapchat, Viber, anything. Just any form of messaging and communication. How many of you find that just with your phone notifications either going off every other minute with a ding, or if you had the good sense to silence your phone, then you would still get the notifications in by seeing the little icons on top, right? And what's the habit and the first thing you like to do? You just want to get rid of all those icons, isn't it? So you either get rid of all the icons without really looking at the content of the messages, or you really go look at the content of the messages and you end up not doing what you set off to do. So a couple of tips here. So either place your phone in the next room when you're doing some work, right? have it totally out of reach. So you can't even reach out of habit actually, that we'll just reach out to our phone and just glance to see if there's any messages or any replies to something, any comments to something that we had posted earlier, right? Then the next thing you could do would be to put your phone on airplane mode. So if you really want your phone next to you, you don't feel so secure with your phone like in the next room, then turn your phone to airplane mode so you won't have any of these message notifications coming in. And if you haven't already, turn off some of your instant notifications. Really, you don't need to respond to live in a split second, at least not to most of the messages that we have. Right, so those are what a lot of us are guilty of, checking messages and emails all the time. Alternatively, you could also set designated hours to be checking your email. That helps very much too. Next, social media. Oh, I'm here on Facebook Live telling you about 17 time wasters. And yes, Facebook and Facebook Live is definitely one of them, right? But I'm again, of course, not saying that me on Facebook Live now doing this live show and you watching it is a time waster. But it's only a time waster if this video has no value add to you, and that's what I aim not to do, right? I aim to give lots of value to you. So if you do have that, if you do want to gain value out of this, and you have been struggling with time management, then this is something that will add value to you. So it's not exactly a time waster. But how many times do you go on Facebook or Instagram a day to just scroll the timeline without a fixed purpose? Well, I'm just getting in touch and seeing the updates of my friends so that I am up to date with them. Yes, but you know how easy it is to get carried away. One video after another. This YouTube video about cats. That another YouTube video about America's Got Talent. Oh, that girl has a fantastic voice. You call someone else in the house to come watch it together. You get carried away. And at the end of that, it's just idle time wasted. Right? So even though I'm a high advocate of using social media, I am also here to urge you not to use it excessively and aimlessly without purpose. Alright? So we are moving close to the 17, and this is one of the favorite ones, multitasking. So type me in the comments if you think you are an excellent multitasker. How many times have we told our husbands, like men, you're hopeless at multitasking, women can totally do it so well. We are quite proud of it, isn't it? That we can multitask so well. But do you know that being able to multitask, or thinking that your best way of working is to multitask, is in fact one of your big time wasters? Because you're scattering your focus. You're having too many windows open at the same time on your computer, right? Are you guilty of that? Or you're on WhatsApp or you're on your messaging platform and you are having a few conversations all at the same time, right? You would then realize that if you have this feedback from your children, which I get sometimes, and that's what makes me aware that I shouldn't be multitasking all the time, is that my daughter says, sometimes I have to repeat what I say to mommy because if she's doing something, she may not have heard me. Even though I told her I did hear her or I was listening, but I was doing something else. Right? So when I'm not present to one task alone, I'm multitasking, it really scatters my focus, much as I would love to think otherwise. So my recommendation for preventing or rather cutting down multitasking for you is to use the Pomodoro working method. So that's the timer method, the tomato timer method, where you work like anything from 20 to 30 minutes and then you take a 5-minute break and you continue after that break with 20-30 minutes bursts of work, right? And you complete tasks that you have written down for yourself one by one. So this is going to be the tricky part, because you're probably going to start working on a couple of things all at the same time, right? So you are working, you just sat down to write a blog post, and then you think that, okay, I need to research on something. You open a browser window, and when you open your browser window, you also have Facebook in one of the tabs, and you go scroll on the timeline. Or, well, still, you go do research for your blog post in Facebook itself, searching in Facebook, right? Doesn't that sound really familiar? That you just go to one thing after another, and it takes a long time after you get back to your blog post. Well, I'm saying this simply because I am guilty of it, but I'm keeping it in check, and that's why I wanted to share this with you. The next one, having too many meetings. So this is again a time waster if your meetings are too long or your meetings are unnecessary. So if you're not clear about your agenda, most likely it's not necessary. Perhaps you had already scheduled the time, but you have no idea what to talk about, and you just make casual small talk. So those meetings are perhaps your time waster. And even for the meetings that are completely essential, you may want to consider having them on Zoom instead of face-to-face, so that you can cut down on the commute time, right? So think of what works best to be able to take the time element out of these. The next thing, very interesting one, the time between your appointment and tasks. So type in the comments below which of these two you are. So one is that you have the tendency to just have your appointments back to back, because you don't want to have any pockets of wasted time in between. Type 1 if you are that kind of person. And on the other hand, if you are the type of person who says, I don't want to be rushed into an appointment, I want to be able to give some buffer so that in case the early appointment takes a longer time, I will always space my appointments apart at least by about like 30 minutes or to 60 minutes. So type 2 if you are the latter. So what's wrong with scheduling breaks in between appointments and your tasks? Well, breaks that are too long could be one problem. And second is that, do you actually intentionally plan to do something during that window of time? Or is that just a break time for you? So you may just end your appointment, it's 30 minutes to your next one, and you didn't plan what to do in that 30 minutes. So what do you do subconsciously, or like without realizing it? You just pick up your phone and go to Facebook or go check your messages, isn't it? So those are the time wasters that I'm talking about. If you have breaks between appointments, but you are not intentional about what you want to do with them, then you might be better off scheduling them back to back. But well, if you don't want to go into appointments late, then yes, schedule them with some buffer time in between, but schedule some to-dos or be intentional about what you do every time you have these breaks. It could be going to take care of yourself and relaxing a bit. So getting a drink, going to the washroom, hydrating yourself, or reading a book, right? So these are the things that are all your control, and it's less tendency for you to be sucked into the process. The second last one, interruptions and distractions. We get that all the time as a mompreneur, especially if we are working from home, right? And if we don't keep our workspace, workroom door locked all the time, guess what? Our children are going to stroll in and interrupt us, or there could be some distractions happening in the house, right? So note your most frequent interrupters. Well, those could be work ones. So your clients could be the ones, or your team members could be the ones. Maybe your children are the ones. And work out a system. I'm not saying to eliminate, there's no way to eliminate interruptions, but if they tend to come to you really often and very scatteredly, for example, a team member will come to you with a question perhaps every hour, then you may want to just work something out with this team member to say, you know what, at this time of the day, come to me with all your questions, right? And the rest of the day, please give me and yourself the time to focus on what we need to do. right? So work out a system with these people and block time for tasks. You could even block time for interruptions. Well, I do. I block a lot of time to spend with my children, so when I'm doing my work, there's a much lower tendency for them to come to interrupt me because they've had plenty of my time already. The last one, dun, 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 which is the 17th time waster, is clutter and mess. If you have a scattered workspace or home, I know in your mind you're saying, but that's organized mess, Ping. I've been there. I totally relate, right? But if you have a scattered workspace, most likely your mind is also scattered. It's a reflection, and usually a fairly accurate one. Don't you sometimes feel very overwhelmed even when you see that you have like 15 windows open on one browser? Yeah, that's clutter as well. So not even a physical space, but our desktop. And if you find that it's so difficult or it takes you a very, very long time to locate a file, I just used it last week. Where is it? Is it on my desktop? Did I save it to documents or did I put it in my Dropbox? Right? So if you encounter these things, then again, very likely is that you are spending time searching for things, not finding things, forgetting things. And it really scatters your focus. So get rid of the things that you don't need, the physical objects that you don't need. Shut the windows that you are not using. Put them in another tab to read them later, because frankly, if you don't need to read them now, you probably would be fine not reading them for the rest of your life. So there's some tabs on our browser windows that really we don't need to use them, right? So we have gone through all the 17 time wasters. I hope you like them. And now is the time for you to comment in the chat, in the box below, how many you are really guilty of, right? So, well, I like to end off saying that, like so many of these time wasters, it would really help if we are more mindful of them. And second, we are intentional about what we want to do with them or with our time, right? So that's what I have to share today. If you find that the 17 time wasters have been really useful, you would like to be able to, Ping, I like to print it out and then paste it on my work area so that I have a constant reminder reminding me not to just delve into these time wasters, then comment list please, and then I will send you a PDF that you can download with all these 17 time wasters. So if you have enjoyed this tutorial and you want to have access to more, then also comment I want in, because we have a Techie Heartpreneur Moms Facebook community. So it's a group where I would go in to do more detailed tutorials than this one. So if you want to have access to that group, I will send you the link if you comment I want in. And finally, if you're watching the replay or you want to recap the key points and links to the apps and sites that I talk about, you can refer to the show notes shortly after this video ends. So I hope you enjoyed this tutorial as much as I did delivering it. Let's go catch the gremlins that are wasting and munching our time away. And until next time, the Heartpreneur Mom is here to help you juggle business and motherhood easier, happier. So we talk soon.